Good afternoon. It is a very gloomy Friday here in Doncaster. It definitely is going to rain at some point. You can feel it in the air. Winter is definitely coming, as they say. Today, I'm going to do something slightly different for the video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through my vlogging setup. Because obviously it's an important part of my workflow, both as a YouTuber and as a musician. Because I try to make this process as easy as I possibly can. He says, struggling to unlock the lens. When I started vlogging, I wanted to make it as easy as I possibly could. I wanted to get some gear that actually made it easier to do this. The point is that I actually should be able to just pick up the camera, start filming, and worry about all the editing later on. So, I'm going to talk you through what my setup is. And of course that's not to say that this is the perfect setup, or this is the right setup. This is a setup that works for me, as a musician who vlogs at the same time. All about streamlining. It's all about making it really, really easy to capture a story in a day. So everything that you've seen so far in the vlog has been filmed on this. This is my Nikon D5300. So the first question, I guess, is why Nikon? Because a lot of people say that Canon is better for filming and things like that. And the short answer is, quite a few of my friends have got Nikon cameras, and we tend to share lenses and things like that. So that's a plus point. But other than that, I really have no preference. I actually do have quite a few lenses for this now, so I'd rather not start that path again. It does start to get quite expensive when you add up all these lenses. Because I've got this one, which is a Sigma lens, which is a 17 to 50mm, which is a zoom lens where the actual aperture doesn't change, which is really, really handy. It means that if I do shots like this, where I'm slightly close up, I can still get this nice sort of blurred background effect. And also, if I zoom in even more, and again, refocus, you can see the focus is on my face and not the background. But even when I'm right out here, again, focus, even when I'm right out here, you can still see there's a contrast. But yes, this is definitely my favourite lens to vlog with at the moment. I use this for the most amount of stuff. I'm still getting used to using this lens, actually, because when I was filming the Q&A the other day, you might have noticed that the focus was shifting in and out. But yeah, again, all about making it easier. It's a one-size-fits-all lens. It's better than the kit lens that it came with, lets more light in, and it means that I can just focus on telling the story. I do have another lens for it, which was actually recommended to me by Steph Michalak. In one of his videos he was talking about his setup, and he was talking about getting a prime lens of some description. So this is a 50mm one. It's quite an old one, but it's actually really good. It's totally manual focus, so I tend to have to be behind the camera. But most of the time when I'm shooting with this camera, I'm either doing the sort of vlogging straight on shots or B-roll shots. So for example, this shot of Dumpling here. Hey man, what are you up to? Just chilling. That was filmed with this DSLR, with this lens, but I could have easily done it with this lens as well. It's just obviously I don't want to be chopping and changing lenses too much. This comes out quite a lot when I film music videos, if I want to get detail of like my hands on an acoustic guitar or something like that. These are the main two lenses that I actually use with this. I actually used to shoot with this, the Nikon D3300, and this has been a great camera. A lot of my footage has been captured with this, but because it didn't have the flip around screen, I found I was mainly using it to capture B-roll. Maybe I could actually put this lens on here and use it a bit more. But either way, the D5300 with that flip out screen, that was an upgrade that I needed to vlog. So the rule that I like to follow, which is a Casey Neistat rule with filming, is that you should always shoot on the best camera that you have. So most of the time, I will shoot on this DSLR. Obviously there are some situations where that's really comfortable. So for example, at home I can do it because it's quite a big camera. It's got a lot of weight to it, and it's not exactly inconspicuous. It's quite a, you know, intrusive thing. When I can't shoot on that, I shoot on this. Now this is my Canon G7X Mk. I didn't actually need to get the Mark II, and I bought this second hand for half the price, and this has been amazing for vlogging. I would actually say that about 50% of the stuff that I shoot is on this. For the simple reason it's really compact, I can just slip it into my back pocket. It's got this thing on it, this wind muff thing, which means that now I can actually take audio from outside. And the audio's not that bad. I actually think it's pretty good. It's definitely workable in Premiere and things like that. And of course, it has the flip out screen on it. And before I bought the D5300, this was the only way I could actually monitor the shot and look at it myself. When I was shooting a lot of stuff before, like I was shooting music videos, I'd always either have another person to do it or I'd be behind the camera myself. But when you're vlogging, you're on your own most of the time. So having that flip screen is an essential thing. So this comes with me everywhere. It actually has its own little Gorilla Pod. I'll show you. I'll zoom out a little bit for you. So it has its own little Gorilla Pod. Come on. Yeah, own little Gorilla Pod, which is great because you can sort of stack it on things. I've actually ended up gluing the top of the Gorilla Pod for the simple reason, wow, I'm so far away. Yeah, I've ended up gluing the top of it because it does actually fall over quite a lot. It's probably slightly too lightweight for the camera itself. But I'll show you, the image quality on it is actually not that bad. If I put it next to the... So this is what the shot looks like on the Canon. Like I said, decent image quality. There's obviously a noticeable difference between this and the DSLR, but I still think this is a really, really good camera. I would say that most of the things that you've seen that have been shot from outside of this house are on this camera. So I have actually taken a bit of Casey Neistat's advice on this, and I have taped over the labels and the names and the brands of the companies who make the cameras, because it's like a walking advert for the camera. I mean, obviously I know what brand it is, so I don't need to look at the front, but if someone sees the word Canon or Nikon or Sigma, and when I'm doing shots in the middle of the town centre and there's lots of people around where I'm putting the camera further away from me, it's just something else that I've got to think about. Again, trying to make it easy to just film as much as I can. A month or so ago, I actually got a shot in Doncaster town centre, and that was actually with this camera planted on top of something. I can't remember what it was. It was some kind of like bollard or something like that. I think at that point, if I'd have had the DSLR, it would have drawn a little bit more attention to me. Now, my next camera is the one that surprised me the most when I bought it, and it's this GoPro Hero 5 Session, I think it is. And it's the one without the screen, and I said at the time that I don't actually need a screen for it. I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with this camera to start off with, because at first I thought, I've bought an action camera and I don't really do anything that involves action. So it didn't really do a lot. I used to put it in the car to get the shots where it was like looking at us as passengers or in front of us, but obviously I tend to use that for this now, because it used to rattle. It used to really, really shake. And it was because I bought some quite cheap mounts for it. It wasn't the camera's fault. And not only that, but the audio's not amazing on these, particularly when you're driving, you get this kind of like low rumble all the time. It sort of fell redundant for a while when I actually bought the Canon camera, so I was using the DSLR to shoot the B-roll and this to shoot the A-roll. It wasn't until a few weeks ago that I realised that, again, there are some scenarios where you don't want to take too much around with you, so I keep this in my back pocket basically all the time. So there are a couple of shots in vlogs recently where there's like a shot from the floor, it's like me and Dad walking into town and things like that. Now this was just on the floor. Then you just push the record button, put it on the floor, and it's totally fine. Not only that, but there were a couple of scenarios. I think I was walking into B&Q the other day and I just started vlogging, and I sort of pushed the button and it beeps, and there you go, and you're ready to vlog straight away. So it's not actually terrible for vlogging. I think that the audio on it, particularly in a scenario like this, I can edit it and it makes it sound okay. So obviously most of the time what I'll do with this, I'll do something like this where I sort of stick it on the end of a piano, and then when I'm playing, you get quite a cool shot. And obviously it doesn't have a screen on it, so there's no way for me to monitor what it looks like. But to be totally honest with you, 9 out of the 10 shots I've got on this camera, I've just put it down, pushed the record button, and then got to the edit and gone, oh, actually that looks pretty good. So another example in which this has been quite useful is scenarios like when we were at the climbing works the other day, and I was filming Dan climbing the walls and things like that. And that was good because I didn't have my phone on me and I didn't really want to take too many cameras in there because it's, you know, quite valuable stuff. Whereas this I can just shove in my pocket and I can just point and shoot with it. And I think quite a lot of the footage I got from that, even though it was maybe a little bit dark in places, was actually quite good. And the other thing that I mainly use this GoPro for now is all the time lapses and things like that, because I just tend to leave it on a window ledge and just sort of let the time go by, edit at the end of the day, and again, 9 times out of 10 the time lapse works out okay. I've also got this quite cool accessory with it, which is basically like it's like a tomato timer. I don't know what they're actually called. Is it called a tomato timer? But basically what it has is a thing on it where you rotate, and over a period of time it ticks down and that slowly moves around. So that way when you're filming a time lapse, it's just very gradually moving and it looks quite cool. One of my favourite shots that I've got so far was with this. I put it in the front garden and pointed it at the sky. But you can sort of see that basically it's if you can't use this camera. And obviously there's some scenarios where I leave the DSLR on the desk and I'll go downstairs with this even though I'm not necessarily out and about. Just because I'm like, that's a good angle, I'll probably use it again later. All of it is about streamlining and making it so easy to shoot videos. Obviously one of the other key things that I've sorted in this room is the lighting, which is why I've started filming in here a lot more, just because I have to do less to the footage when the lights are on in here. I think things look clearer and I can just sort of drop it into Premiere, edit it, and away you go. Now in terms of editing the videos, I use Premiere Pro. I'm actually a big Mac user, so I imagine a lot of you are saying, why don't you use Final Cut Pro? And the short answer to that is that it was just the one that caught my eye. And I've trained myself to use it now, so it doesn't seem like a good idea to actually just totally retrain to use something else. It just doesn't seem very efficient. So obviously what I do is right at the end of the day, we're sort of talking 10, 11 at night, I'll drop all the footage on from the SD cards and I'll put it into Premiere and I'll just start editing and see what I can come up with. I do actually have a vlog template as well, which streamlines things, so it's always got the title ready and it's always got like an adjustment layer so I can drop some LUTs on and things like that just to make it look a bit nicer. There's also a go-to LUT that I go with. I don't know what it's called, but I put it on every single video at the moment just to make it look consistent. And again, I have audio tracks ready for the different cameras because the GoPro tends to be quite boomy, the DSLR tends to be quite quiet, and the G7X tends to be probably the best audio quality without me editing it, so I don't do much to that. But again, I just drop the footage in, start moving it, and that way I don't have to do that much work. It's all about me cutting things in the right place and finding the story at the end of the day, which of course is the most important thing to me. But yes, I hope that gives you an idea of what my vlogging setup is like. And like I was saying, this is by no means the right setup. This is just my setup. It works for me. And the reason it works is because it's easy to use. I can just push the red button and it starts recording. I think you can probably tell that the key aspects of my setup are flip around screen so I can monitor myself because I'm filming on my own, something that looks good, something that I can use in a scenario that's a little bit more compact, and then something that I can just plug and play, you know? But anyway, I hope you find that insightful. I really hope that that helps you to craft your vlogging setup as well. And of course, if you've got anything that you think I should be doing differently, let me know in the comments. I'm always trying to find new things to do.